Welcome back to the Garden State Outdoorsman podcast presented by Boondocks Hunting. I'm your host, Mike Nitre.
Who's going? I'm Justin Devlin.
Jesus Christ, this is not a good start. This is just looking at each other.
I mean, somebody say something.
Somebody say something. Do we leave that or do we redo it? Do we just leave
No,
this?
you gotta leave that.
I was lost in Peyton's mustache. Look at that thing.
Work in progress. Lawson, you gotta look real hard to find it.
But it's doing him the trick right now. I mean, none of us could say anything.
Well, yeah, whatever. Whatever Peyton's doing is right. So
here,
no question, nothing.
Rut scruff.
So, boys, we are here to talk. This is our second update that we're going to be giving you guys. So we're going to give you guys a little bit of update, and I think also since we're going to drop this, we might as well talk a little bit of rut action. But who wants to go first? I mean, me, Andrew, and Justin. I think we have the least amount of details to really give. I mean, things are heating up. I will definitely, I definitely think all of us could say that, but there's one man that's on fire right now, and any hunt that he's going out, he's just dropping one. So, anyone want to take charge on the first one?
I'm gonna say Peyton should probably go last, because he's the only one with any type of story. I mean, I can for the most part speak for Justin too. We've just been, I don't want to say one step behind, but we're just we are not matched up. I mean, we've been right there, and I guess one step behind is a pretty good way to put it. But we've just been right there. I mean, we got, I don't know, 6 or 7 different bucks that are 6 or 7 different times of daylighting action. I mean, they're right there. We just not when we are. I mean,
we have SD card cameras where we need cell cameras because you need the data that quick. We have. We're hunting on a Sunday when we should be hunting on a Monday, and it's just it's all just seemed to not work out so far.
But afternoon when we should be in the morning when we should be afternoon. It's just been opposite of what we're doing. But when I mean opposite, I mean like within the day. Like we're right there on these deer, and it's just it's a little frustrating. It's a little frustrating, but it's I think it's because we got definitely 2, maybe 3 real more older age class mature bucks that are just coming out at just different times, and it's just they're not coming out at kind of we need them to come out. They're kind of altering their schedules to avoid each other at the moment. I don't think that's going to be going for much longer, but it's been frustrating to say the least. That's for sure.
But it seems like it's making a turn. So it's definitely in the past week, week and a half, we've been more in the game than we've been in the game all season. So that's a start. And then it's only going to get hopefully, better and more in the game from there. So.
Yeah, I had one encounter with a really, really good buck. Just happened a little late. I saw him about 90 yards up a wood line, and he came in and super good mature buck. I couldn't tell exactly which one it was, but I mean, good enough for me to know that it was one of the more impressive frame bucks that I've seen in New Jersey. And about 90 yards away, and I kind of thought I was out of the game as soon as I saw him until he started trotting into me and running into me. And I thought, man, it's gonna happen with minutes, buzzer beater shot. And he kind of came across a little thicket in front of me, and I was fully drove back waiting for him, and I could hear him making a scrape and rubbing and scraping and rubbing, and by the time he ended up passing that, it just was too late. And then I had another buck corralling up a doe in a thicket. They were running back and forth a good bit. I couldn't get a great look at what he was, but he was, good enough. I saw a quick glimpse of him, and good enough. So they're around. We're each time we're within minutes or within a few yards. You couldn't be any closer than holding a rack. That's for sure. So, but that's about it.
Yep.
It's got to be encouraging, though. It's like it's the cat and mouse game, and it's like a numbers game too. So if It's a matter of time. If you keep putting yourselves in those situations, you're gonna strike gold.
Without a doubt.
And that's really like what me and Justin have been. I mean, I can't remember I can't even keep track of how many times we've said that exact thing. It's a numbers game right now. Like, you just need to be in the stand. Like, we said it the other day after we both got out, because we both went into this morning sit thinking like, all right, so one of us is flinging an arrow today. Like, he's daylighted 3 mornings in a row. Like, this is gonna happen, and it just didn't. And then it happened. You know, he daylighted the next morning, and it's just like, you know, like, what we really need to do is just quit our jobs and no more school and no nothing.
Yep.
Just like sit for a week, like just not get out of the stand for a week, and it'll happen, because he's consistently daylighting, just not at consistent times is really where we've been. So it's encouraging, and it's definitely a cat and mouse game, but you know, not like our normal mountain buck cat and mouse games, like where you're kind of chasing down bedding areas and, you know, benches and stuff. It's just kind of like waiting for one to bounce our way, you know, a little bit better. So it doesn't help with all the coyotes that we saw the other day too. I mean,
No, a lot of coyotes in our area. I mean, I've been in bow range of several coyotes this year and missed one of them. So
yeah,
they're there. But we did find a piece of the puzzle last hunt. I was in the one stand to the kind of, if you're looking up at this thicket to the right of it, and Andrew was going in to check this SD card camera that I had put in there on the left side, and I stayed in the stand to see if anything bumped out. And sure enough, I on the other edge of the woodlot, of course not coming towards me, going to the opposite way, which he could have came, was a great frame deer, big buck. You could just see great body, big white frame. And then we checked that SD card camera, and he was on there, you know, pretty much every single day. So now, in that little bedding area, we kind of dialed that in. So hopefully we can slip in there and get it done one of these days in the heat.
and not just him. I mean, you're that deer you're talking. You know, he's incredible mass, an old, big, mature whitetail, and you know he's partnered up with, you know, another 3 or 4, you know, 4, 5+ year old whitetails in that same thicket. So
Yeah,
we're there. It's just one of those deals where, you know, we've put ourselves in a situation here, especially me and Justin. We put ourselves in a situation where we're chasing a single caliber deer, and we're not really super willing to budge on it. And we always talk about it like, oh, you know what, today we're gonna go kill this buck. That's smaller than the other ones we're chasing, and we never do. We never even try. Like, we never go after them, because we're staying tight and really, really trying to kill a very specific caliber deer. And you know, I mean, we're close, but it's that fun part. It's definitely
fixing to get there. So
yeah. I don't know, Justin, if you got anything else to add, like things that we've been doing, or
no, I mean, we've
tactics
definitely not been hunting, I feel like, as aggressive as maybe, and sometimes we should have, maybe, and sometimes we shouldn't have, that we have. Kind of feeling that out, but I think I can speak for the both of us. This is a brand new year on these couple of pieces of property for all of us. We don't know the history of the property. There were some curveballs thrown in this that we've kind of had to do the entire time and learn new ways around it and everything. So, but the one consistent that we've heard from everybody down there, and we're already seeing ourselves, is that the rut is when you really want to put your time in and when magical things will happen. So we're getting there, and that's about all I could really say. I mean, I gave the most other stories on the other update, and I've sat 25 times, but not much of an update has happened since then, except for pictures. So
yeah, I mean, but they are starting to daylight more. They're starting to get more and more active. I mean, we got a bully too. We got a bully buck that's really becoming a problem for us. A significantly smaller rack than the other ones, and he's just bullying these deer. But so we're right there. I'm gonna take a poke at another one tomorrow, and you know, hopefully we can do another podcast tomorrow and talk about a success story. That'd be great. But until then,
we do have one success story. So
yeah, go back to update number 1 from me and Justin, and you know, basically the same for now.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna really not much of an update for me. A bunch of personal stuff happened in the last couple of weeks. I finally, you know, got out and I don't know. It's kind of just it's frustrating, but it's also just slowly but surely you see everything heating up. I think really I was able to get back into the woods right before bear season started. And have just been hunting hard and trying to locate, scouting new pieces, putting all my cameras out in the woods, things like that. And I'm slowly but surely trying to break it down. I'm trying to get one done. Hopefully on Friday, so I can not get a tag soup and get my fall bow buck tagged. Because with the rut, I just have this feeling, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna put this out there on this podcast right now because I thought about it the other day. I have a huge feeling that if we don't fill one this week, right? I have a big feeling that 1, 2, 3, or 4 of us will kill the first day or few days of opening seasons for permit. Like, I just have a feeling like if we don't get it done now, it's going to happen right when we get new permit tags. And then we're just going to be like, well, damn. Now when everything's heating up and everything's about to get really fun and everything like that,
Yeah, now we're done.
We're done now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but you got to take that. Like, I would take that's better
I'd
than
be fine
you know
with
what I mean.
that. I'd be more than fine with that.
I just have that feeling because that's just the way our season has gone, and it's it would be a cool story though.
When I see, I'd love to. I would be completely okay with that happening for me because I do still have plans that are getting further and further pushed back for Ohio and New York and Pennsylvania and other stuff. So I mean, I'd be okay with that. Listen, I'm good with that, honestly. But
well, yeah, that's the thing. A lot of our plans have gotten. We came into the season with a lot of plans and just the season hasn't gone the way that we wanted to. A lot of personal stuff and everybody's life and everything like that, which is, we're not paid hunters like that. We can't take off all day and everything like that. But oh, update real quick. Bass shot a buck this morning.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
So
nice.
it was his first one. Tender meat spike buck, but he's
11 point.
a beautiful 11 point. I was like, dude, congratulations. Like, huge props to him. First year hunting. He's retired. He's 2 for 2 on private property. And then he's 0 for 37 on public.
That's a ratio right there.
He's the type of
39
guy,
hit.
and I love it. He's like a kid all over again. He just wants to be out in the woods. And I'm like, dude, the wind's not good today. Like, it's not. He goes, well, I got nothing else to do. So I'm gonna just go sit in a blind and I'm like, you know what? You're a first year hunter. Why not? Like, just do it.
The learning curve is so steep at that point. You learn so much every time you get out.
It's so funny that you say this right now because I was gonna say this before you brought this up. I swear to God. I talked to Justin about this a couple days ago, and I just talked to my father about this today because I try to talk to my dad as much as I can about it. He keeps me grounded and whatever. But I told him, and I've told this to Justin. Justin said it to me, and I'm sure we've all said it to each other. But I was like, man, I wish I could just go out and just be happy with seeing a nice sunset or seeing a few squirrels or a few does and or being all right with not going hunting because I'm watching football or something. Like I wish I could be like that sometimes because it's a curse and a blessing. Like I love this so much, but man, once that switch gets turned on, I mean, it is impossible to turn off. And don't get me wrong, I love it. Hunting has saved my life. Chasing these whitetails has saved me. But you get to a point where it's just like, man, like I bet you that guy's having a lot of fun because although I love hunting and I have fun doing it, I'm not like 90% of the time it's not fun. It's fun after you get a harvest or after you have an encounter and you go talk about it with your buddies or whatever. But like, I'm not really here to have fun. I'm here to to get it going. And sometimes I wish I can go back to that, and I can go back to those like super like purest moments. But I mean, I love that he does that, because that's like what I was thinking about today, and I was talking to my father about it, and again talking to Justin about just the other day, where it's just like, I wish I could do that. I wish. Justin was talking about a buddy that had shot a deer, and he was just like, oh yeah, might go out today, might not. And it's just like, man, my sits are so calculated, like they're thought out like a month in advance. Like I have this thing dialed up where like I mean, you look on paper before the season starts, my season's over before it starts. Like it's so planned out that there's no time or anything in between. So I do sometimes wish that, and I'm glad to hear that people still start off and still do that, because man, once you flick that switch, like you better think about it long and hard, because there ain't no way to turn it off. That's it, you're done.
Yeah. I will definitely say though, a huge difference from when we first did our first update, the weather. And I was literally leaving I got out the woods, was walking out, and it's nice and cool, but it's like it's that actual fall hunting weather. Like, when you see that beautiful sunrise, whatever the case is, or sunset, and it just feels like you're in the woods for a reason. When we first started, our first 2 weeks was miserable. I actually did not enjoy hunting at all. That first was miserable. And I was like, yes, I was like, this is why I love it. I love it, even though I didn't kill anything. I saw some deer, gained a lot of intel just on seeing where they're going, where I thought they were bedding. There might be another different bedding where I think they're coming from now, just from being able to get up and see everything. But I mean, man,
I'm weird like that. Like I feel like I embrace the suck. Like I almost enjoy the grind and the sucky part of it, and it sucks and I hate it.
Fun.
But I feel like if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be as driven. Or
it goes back to the episode that we did with rookie hunting, and even goes back to the first episode I did with her. I go, I always want people to go through the suck first. When they get into hunting, I don't want them like bass. You're 0 for 30, whatever, on public land hunts. That's you're getting through the suck. The fact that you're sitting all day, like I literally texted him. I go, yo, like I'm on my way up. Like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm just getting in the blind. It was 12 o'clock. I was like, dude, I'm just on my way up. He goes, I might have to change batteries on the camera, but I like Andrew says, everything's calculated. So like if I know there's a spot where I can get into where I don't have to be in super, super early, it's planned out. So like everything is mapped out in our heads already. But for him, it's like you said, it's so pure. It's just so like, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna sit, just like back when we were before we got obsessed and everything like that, like just enjoying it.
But I think that's everyone should go through these moments. Like I think a lot of it. Me and Peyton were talking about this the last podcast, that like social media has this hold on hunters that tells them, oh, you can't shoot young bucks, you can't shoot those, you can't do, like it's got to be a 140 or better, like you have to, because that's what social media says. And it's a shame, like, and some people grow up watching hunting shows like Justin. Like that's how Justin got into hunting, by watching hunting shows. And how he was brought into the hunting world was, shoot big bucks, because that's what he saw in hunting shows. How I was brought into it was like, okay, you're gonna shoot a doe first, and then you're gonna shoot a pile of them, and then you're gonna shoot a spike, and then you're gonna shoot a four corner, and then you're gonna go from here. There was levels to it, and although like your first buck being a big one, I'm sure is incredible. I think there's something to shoot a pile of does, man, to start off, because like you learn what you can and can't do in a stand when you're chasing does, or you learn, I don't know. It's just like there's just those moments that you're passing up almost, like I'm sure a lot of you guys, I don't know if you guys have ever really been to deer camps, and our goal at deer camp when I was younger was, man, go out and shoot a bunch of does. Like, we got this many tags, like, you start firing away. And although, like, maybe that wasn't the greatest thing to do, but it was fun, and it had its own like culture to it. And I feel like the culture's changing. So I guess for anyone that's listening, like, don't skip those moments, because you'll learn a lot. You will learn a lot by setting yourself up and saying, listen, I'm going out to go shoot an old big mature doe, or I'm going out to go shoot this one forkhorn. Like, go out and just hunt sometimes, because you learn a lot there when you start doing that. And like, hunting.
Part of the reason I don't like running cameras as much is kind of exactly that. And it's like, I'll run it. There's one spot I have 2 SD cameras out and I haven't pulled in like a month. I'm actually probably just gonna go take them down. But yeah, it's like the aspect of it's like I enjoy the aspect of getting out, finding the fresh sign, setting up on the fresh sign, learning just how to like read the woods, and that aspect is really what I've been enjoying the most. And it's just been kind of like a parallel objective of mine. There's like obviously go shoot a big buck, shoot a bear. But it's also been like learn how to read the woods better. I've been trying to pay attention to like what kind of trees are around, like listening to the woods, like listening to the blue jays going off, and like tuning into that sort of thing, and finding the scrapes, hunting the topo like features, and highlighting that. So not necessarily knowing where the bucks are from pictures and pulling camera cards, or getting cell cameras and whatnot, like actually having to just kind of put the time in and make the educated guesses, and just not knowing if that is knowing that you have to go out and hunt to validate your assumption.
Yeah, and that
kind of makes that better for me.
And it's so much fun when you do that. Like, it's fun. It's genuinely fun. Like, and it's very rewarding. Like, when you walk in the woods and you see a fresh scrape, you set up on that fresh scrape and a buck comes through. Even if it's a small buck, it's
absolutely.
That's awesome. Like, it's so much fun. And I did that last year, and I had so much fun doing that. And like what me and Justin are doing, because it definitely depends on where you're at, like your surroundings. So like if you're hunting more of mountainous areas and big hilly country and open woods, like, you're definitely going to need to rely on that. Like where me and Justin are, we're hunting these big vast fields with little pinch point thickets and stuff. Like, we know where the bucks are by just looking at a map.
Yeah.
And then we're walking around these thickets to get validation of, okay, like that's a 3-finger track, or maybe that's a 4-finger, like, that's a big track, a small buck, whatever, rubs, scrapes, and it brings like a different aspect to it, because we know what's there.
And it's about your objective.
It's very mission based, like what we've been doing lately. Because last year it wasn't really. It was like that for me. Don't get me wrong, it was. But now this is like, okay, for the most part, we're hunting the biggest deer on these properties. Like, that's what we're chasing, because it's a goal of ours. And like,
yeah,
we mess
specific
around.
Type of deer.
Yeah, and we mess around every single time before we go out in the woods, whether it's one of us or both of us at the same time. Every single time before we go out, we always sit there and say, "Hey, I'm going to shoot a forky today and be done with this." And and you know what? Like, every time we go out, we got chances to do stuff like that.
Like that buck I passed last time. I mean, we didn't talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was another one. Like, I'm at the point where I'll say, like, right now, like, yeah, I'd shoot that deer if it came by again, but like if it comes by, I know I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Now I have a question. And it's to stir the pot a little bit, and just off. I already know the answer, but for our listeners, do you think Justin should tone it down a little bit and just smoke something that's just walking
100%.
by? Honestly, like,
I should.
Do you think it'd also build your confidence too? Because that's what I did. This buck right here, my 6. Man, I talk about it all the time on the podcast. When you're in a rut and archery is a huge point of, here, how confident are you in yourself? You need to gain momentum, and it's like, maybe. And I think the deer that you did pass, it was a decent deer, correct?
Yeah, it wasn't nothing like crazy huge, obviously, but
we're not
for a second
about
deer, I mean, I think it was questionable for that.
And that's where we're at, where we're like, You know,
Building experience in the moment
you
of shooting.
building, yeah, and it goes back to also what Andrew was saying. When you're shooting does and you're smoking a lot of does, you're gaining so much knowledge, just off of that. Like shooting one deer, it's hard because then
It
now
happens so fast.
how long has it been? You know what I mean?
2020,
Couple
so
seasons.
2023, 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
You sent arrows, which are good.
Huh.
You're still well. Hey, listen. Besides the one, at least all the rest of them have been clean misses.
Yeah,
You
there's
know what I
been
mean?
3 arrows sent since 2020, and only one connected. But yeah,
But it's like, hey, you know what? That's why I love that. It's a love-hate relationship with early season, because like, unfortunately, I didn't get to do it this year, but I sent one arrow, and it's like I'd like to get that dough out the way, so I know, like, okay, I just gained myself some confidence. Like,
so something that I've been doing though in the stand is like I told Andrew I did it the other night. I did it in the morning sit when I had the spike came past me, was just getting on full draw on deer and focusing on just like aim
Center
small,
your
miss
pin.
small on the
Yeah.
actual deer. Exactly. Just
I was just
steadying the
about to say
pin.
to do that. Yeah.
Yep, in the saddle, everything. Like, even though I know I'm not going to shoot them, but I'll hold it there for a good amount of time, and then I'll see how long I can hold the bow for, and practice drawing slow while the deer's out. So that stuff I definitely have been doing, and it does make me feel a lot more confident for
yeah,
sure.
You learn what you
yeah,
can get away with in non-critical moments, right? It's
Yeah.
like you'll learn when to draw. Like what cover can you have, like what cover has to be between you. It's like when I shot that buck, this one last year, it was just like knowing when to draw, and like it was an open field with one grass stand in the middle of it, and he
yeah,
walked through, and I drew just at that exact second, and he didn't
yeah.
notice. But it's like you learn those little things that you can only kind of accomplish by either like actually letting one fly or doing those practice draws.
Well, go,
I'm
Andrew.
in the same breath because I think I've even told Justin today, like, you should just start shooting deer. But in the same breath, as a devil's advocate here, I will say I hit a point where, yeah, I shot a bunch of deer before I started chasing mature deer, and then my numbers fell off drastically, because that's what happens when you chase mature deer and you set goals, especially in a state like New Jersey. It's your numbers drop off. But in the same breath, Justin one day is gonna go teach somebody that's 18 years old and says, "Listen, I want to be a big buck killer." And what he's gonna say is, "Listen, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really hard. You're gonna have a lot of lonely sits and a lot of phone calls with your buddies about why it's not coming together." But he'll also be able to direct that kid a little bit better, because I'm sure we all learn lessons every hunting season. And we learn lessons. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I
Every
learn a
sit.
lesson almost every hunt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Justin's going to be able to sit there and say, "Listen, I didn't go through this process, so start here." Instead of starting at this point where you're hunting just a food source for a doe, if that's not what you're looking for, he'll be able to relate to that and say, "You know what, I respect that. It's going to be a hard road for you, don't you?" It's going to, have its real downs and very little ups in the beginning, but he'll be able to sit that kid down and give him that real conversation of, you got to go look for this. See, if you want to kill big bucks, you have to hunt where big bucks are. And he'll be able to really direct somebody and maybe change someone's life doing that. Until then, yeah, it's tough. It's not
Until then.
It's not an easy thing, and it's not an easy thing for anybody. I don't care who you are. We're not the juries, or no. It's not a disrespectful shot to them, but we're not. We're not hunting beautiful manicured land where we're passing 150s, 160s. Like, we're taking these opportunities, and it's tough. New Jersey's a pressured state. It's a hard to hunt state. It is. There may be a lot of deer, but if your agenda is what Justin's looking to do and pick out a 100-acre property and kill the biggest, baddest, most mature buck on that property, that's a tall order. That's a tall order anywhere, let alone in a hard to hunt state where you're already putting yourself at such a disadvantage. But you got to respect the grind, Adam. I mean,
Yeah, it's all about what you think is cool.
Yep.
It's like that's
Exactly.
like the cool thing about whitetail hunting is just like there's so many different ways to do it, and it's just like I like that there's so many different. It's finding what the way that you think is cool, right? And it's like if that's like kind of like the scientific meticulous going through the camera data, trying to triangulate exactly where he's going to be at exact time and put yourself there, like that's cool. Like and then there's like how I like think about it is like where I want to be able to just get like dropped off on any piece of public or whatever, and just kind of walk around and find success and like
Yep.
being able to kill a mature deer in a short time frame. Like that's kind of my end goal. And it's like, and then there's also like the people who are just like, I just want to shoot as many deer as possible and feed myself and as many people as possible. And that's also really cool. Like putting food on the table. Like that's awesome.
Yep.
For
And
sure.
it's just like just in one species that's available in all, almost
And
every state in the lower 48,
I really like to keep myself in check too. Like I texted Justin the other day and we got a picture of a buck. He's not a giant by any means. He's not even probably top 15 of the bucks that we have. But I said, you know, would you be mad at me if I shot this deer? And he was like, no, I would never ever be mad at you for shooting that deer. Like never. You want to shoot him, go hunt him. Will I? I don't know. Probably not. But it's more of like just keeping myself in check, like keeping us in check as hunters,
Yeah.
and like making sure like we're all on the same page with whatever makes you happy, and that's what
As
you
long
should
as you're
do.
doing it, ethically and legally, then do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
have
Definitely
fun.
agree.
That's
But
the big thing. Have fun.
all right, Mr. Before we move on, Mr. Peyton, you're up. What everyone was waiting for is your story. No one wanted to really listen to our three stories because it's not quite like yours. So Peyton, why don't you really start? I guess from when you left my house. I guess kind of because your trip really started right when you left.
Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't hunted, well, up until that point, right? That was a week ago from today. That was last Wednesday night. And I hadn't hunted since I shot that bear the Tuesday before that. Because I got sick. I was sick when I shot the bear, and then dragging that thing out really just beat me down. I know whoever's listening to bear episodes probably hates me after all that coughing I did to the microphone. But so hopefully Mike did some edits and maybe cleaned it up a little bit. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but um, so yeah, I dropped. Mike was obviously hooked me up big time. All these guys, helped me drag that bear out. I dropped the sled back off at Mike's house, and I had to drive. It was like 9 o'clock or so. I had to drive 3 hours to Maryland to my parents' house. Was going to work for a work trip in Maryland, so I was just gonna stay there for the night and then just stay. Work. I get to work from home on Friday, so work from home from my parents' house, and then do whatever. Right. The plan was to go down there, take my bear to the taxidermist. Make some bear grease. Wasn't really gonna hunt. Girlfriend was coming down to visit. Um, but Thursday rolls around. Yeah, I'm off work. I'm like thinking, I'm sitting there, and I'm like driving. I'm like, call my dad, and I'm like, you know what? Like, how about that 7-acre piece of private that he already shot? He's hunted probably 3 hours, killed 2 doe, get the jerky flowing. I was like, how about we run over that? I might run over that 7-acre piece of probably 20 minutes away. I get a couple hours before dark. And he's like, well, I'll come with you. So we like eat something, get dressed. Don't even take my work pants off. Just throw on a jacket, grab my bow, run in, sit in the ground blind that's got one chair. We didn't even grab a second chair, so I was sitting on the ground in the dirt the whole time. And we're just, getting a few hours in, which is already cool. I was just gonna shoot whatever deer came out. He he's got a camera there coming up this drainage. He's got a little bit of corn out. I haven't hunted over corn in a while, but I just wanted to get some deer meat in the freezer. I ate my last pound of ground of this guy that week, so I was like, I just got to fill the freezer. Whatever walks out, it's getting whacked. And I actually meant that one. I'm like, I mean it. So I was, whatever little doe comes out, it's Gotta put meat on the table. And so time goes by. It's like 30 minutes before dark, and button buck comes out. I was like, well, okay. No. Then a little doe comes out with it, and I'm like, no. Then the mama comes out and stands with it. I'm like, well, I'm like, that's still don't feel right about this. I don't really want to. And then I hear twig break, and my dad is on the other side of the ground blind, where he can see down the drainage across, because we're not opening. It's like one of those tide where you can actually see through it, and it works great, but you can't really see detail out of it. And he's looking down the drainage, and I just hear him go, "There's buck, buck," and I'm thinking like, whatever buck, like fine, great, whatever buck, I'm shooting this, you know. And then he goes, big buck, and I can't. I'm getting to my knees. I'm getting the release clipped on, and he's just stopping between every tree between us and him, to where I can catch a glimpse of a side. And I still haven't really seen this deer until he steps out in the opening uphill at 30 yards. And it's a nice, wide, outside the ear, mature 8-pointer. The first time I turkey hunted this place a couple times and seen a lot of does, but this is the first time I'd ever deer hunted here. And I've spent, my life shooting guns here and stuff, and got to full draw, on my knees, just kind of last light out of nowhere, and, let it fly, and got very lucky to just kind of impromptu shoot this big buck that just kind of landed in my lap. I wasn't going to hunt that weekend, got that itch, like Andrew was saying earlier. It's just like, yeah, like, nah, I'm just going to relax this weekend, whatever. I'm not going to hunt. And then it's like you get that itch, and it's like, oh, let's just go. Whatever, let's just go. I'm never gonna. And something I always tell is like in my head when I'm like not gonna go, and then just that little guy on my shoulder that's just like,
I have a little guy on my shoulder. His name is Andrew Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
You know how many times? I've said this season, oh, I'm gonna take the next 5 days off, and then I get talked into, and then in my mind I get talked into it so much to where I'm like, oh, there's no reason why I shouldn't be going out because it's gonna happen, and then I go out, and then I see like a fucking squirrel run by or something like that.
No, can't kill him from the couch. You've never regretted
exactly
going
right.
and sitting, and it's
That's
like,
true.
wow, well, let's go. And then
Yep.
the numbers game paid off. I don't know how many sits I've had this year, but a lot. And just it was cool to hunt with my dad. I haven't hunted with my dad and sat. And as I killed my first deer sitting with a crossbow, sitting, my dad's crossbow sitting in a 2-man ladder stand. I don't think we haven't sat together since. I mean, we turkey hunted together. But haven't deer hunted together since, I don't know, maybe 8 years or so.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
So many things could have gone differently. You literally could have not gone hunting. You could have gone crabbing, because I know you were talking about going crabbing with the girlfriend.
Yep.
You could have meant what you actually said and shot that damn button buck the first thing that walked out. Like, there's so many scenarios that could have
And he was
played
telling
out
me to shoot
differently.
it.
Really.
He's like, I was like, I don't know if I want to shoot it. And he's like, why? And then like we were just like whispering back and forth, just like deliberating on whether to shoot this like little button buck at 20 yards. And he's just like, yeah, you're probably right. And then just like it's just I can still hear it, just like one twig break, and I just knew. And I had a feeling going in, it's like stuff Andrew's been sending and just stuff I've been seeing, and it's like they're starting to chase. I was like, there's a lot of does here. And something I said turkey hunting when we saw, there's so many does getting blown at just by every nanny doe that comes through. And putting yourself on the does is a good strategy for this time of year.
Yeah.
You obviously find the scrapes, but they're coming to the does. It's like hunting the food sources in the early season. Find the does, the bucks will be around to pester them, and that's what he came in doing. Came in outside, circling, tongue going, just eyeballing the nanny doe, and just moving like a big mature buck would, which was awesome. awesome to see. You know, just lingering on the outside, somehow knowing when to put each tree to just make him mysterious until he finally just emerged into the opening and presented the perfect broadside 30-yard shot, and just great feeling to get it done.
And it's we're in that time frame. I mean, it's anything can happen. You know, my camera were crazy last night of just deer chasing deer fight. I had some smaller bucks fighting. You know, you could already see the does are already getting fed up. Like they're not ready. You know, Bianca's camera would not stop going off, you know, at her spot of she has a decent buck on camera. I'm really surprised about that, just because of the area. But
Yeah.
the does came first, and then after that, like there's just buck chasing a doe around, like literally. And you know, I don't have it on video mode right now, but you can see like the doe is mid flight running, and then like a minute later I'll get a picture of a buck like right on a trail.
They're on them. I was
You know,
talking to Mike Z. Wrights earlier today actually, and he was talking about an encounter that he had with a buck, you know, where he hunts, and you know, we were talking about where to sit, and kind of the conclusion we both came to is like put yourself in a spot that they're gonna put yourself on those funnels that they're coming through, because they are going to be moving. And if you can just hang out there and play that numbers game in the next few weeks, you're gonna get a shot opportunity.
Yeah, and you know, that might be one of my biggest flaws. And you know, after talking to my father today, he's very conservative. He will sit the same stand every day and just wait and just wait and just wait. And sometimes he gets it done the first week. Sometimes you know the last day of the season. So, but he sticks it out and he always gets it done, and it proves to always work. And my problem is, I mean, I don't even know how many out of the 12 or 13 sits I have this year. I think it's 12. Um, I don't even know how many times I've sat the same stand, but I move a lot. And like me and Justin, that's our thing down there is okay, well, you put a camera out, you don't have a mature buck, and I always give it the 3-day rule. If there's not a mature buck on it in 3 days, it's moving, it's going. And you know, like we hold to that unless we like every third day, if there's not a mature buck on it in 3 days, well then that's not in his daily routine. So move it, like get it going. So we do that often, and it works. I mean, like if you're looking for a lot of bucks, like you guys see, you know, we send them all the time. We're on a pile of them, but we're also not staying in one area. Where if we stayed in one area and we just sat one area, you know, maybe something would be different. You know, if one of us took off a week of work and school last week, like could have killed 3 or 4 different bucks. You know, so it's just one of those deals where you know you want to move because it's telling you to, but maybe you should stick out a little longer. And you know, I say that, but I'm moving tomorrow. I'm going to a different spot tomorrow, so
new farm.
We're gonna see. I mean, but that's just who I am. I find that fun. Like that's fun for me. Like people make fun of me for bumping and dumping and kicking up deer and sitting on them and doing this and doing that and moving a lot. And but you know what? Like that's fun. Like I find success in that a lot of the times I do, and it works for me. And it might not work for everyone, but that's how I like it. So, and I'm gonna tell you that there's no better sign than fresh sign. So best way to find it is to keep on moving and you know go look for it. So
especially this, you know, this time of the year, like there's gonna constantly every day there's gonna be fresh new sign. Every single day. This is not the time of the year to, if you have the opportunity, you need to be out in the woods. Right? You really do, Mr. Devlin over there, passing up hunts. You know, we're not gonna get into it, but
don't. You're lucky we're on a. Don't even.
So I will say, listen, I give Justin a lot of shit because like he'll have the best excuse because he'll sit 3 days all day long, like our morning and afternoon, 3 days in a row, and he'll call me. I'll be like, oh, what are you doing tonight? And he's like, oh, probably should stay home, or I got some schoolwork or this that. And I'd be like, are you nuts? Like, we just had a buck daylight. Are you crazy? What are you doing?
And because
And I'll talk them
because I
into it.
want to be going, all it takes is that one line of convincing, like, why not? And then I just end up on 202 heading south.
And I'm gonna tell you, I get you to do it very often. Very often.
Weekly, multiple times a week.
Yeah, multiple. You said you weren't going out until earliest on Halloween, and we're going
Yep,
Friday.
we're going on Friday.
But it's the truth, and after because we're at a low point here. We're at a little bit of a low point. Not a low point where we're not seeing deer, not happy or whatever. It's a low point because we're so close, but it's so much time, and it takes a lot away from everything. It takes a lot away from the family. It takes a lot away from life and work and school, and it's a lot. It's a lot to do, but we signed up for this, so.
Yeah, I agreed. I think all 4 of us will be out Friday.
Yeah, it took half day on Friday. We'll be out in the
Yeah,
afternoon.
I'll be
What,
happy.
Peyton, oh no, you killed that buck in Maryland. That's right. All right, yeah.
Yep. So we're still 0 deer in New Jersey, so
He's
all
still
good
trying
there.
he's still trying to add to the list of expenses. He wants another wall mount.
Maybe
You don't need a credit card
maybe
debt
we
on
should
dead
get
deer.
something going and maybe get back to just like a fun day. Maybe like one day in
Yeah, we need to go out all
Maybe like one of the first 10 days of November, we'll take a day and we'll all go to like a public land spot and just.
Yeah, like someplace we've either never been or like barely been.
I was gonna say we kind of need to do the deer camp thing. Justin, have you ever experienced a deer camp?
Not
Mike
deer.
had a mini bear camp.
It's not deer specifically, but I mean several hunting camps, just not deer. No.
I think we should definitely do something like that. Get something going on. It's ton of fun. I'm supposed to be going to Maine this year, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it up to Maine, unfortunately, this year to camp. So again, it's just so hard to get up there. It's got to drive all the way up there, and then we are kind of in the middle of nowhere. So right this year it's not looking too good, but hopefully we can get it done and then go to some other states and everything like that. But boys, before we get off, each one of us go around, the rut's coming up, go around and give us a nice hot topic for the guys out there during the rut. And most likely we will be giving you guys, should we do a weekly update for just a small quick weekly update going forward until the rut's over?
I do think I was going to bring that up. My camera's not working currently, but I was going to bring that up. I think we should do another one early next week because we'll all be out Friday. And this is the time of the year where it's going to change literally day to day. So I think we should do another one and try and get it out quick because, this is that time where we're all hunting different areas and different terrain. And, with all the knowledge coming out that quick. I always say, Halloween's like that turning point. It really is that turning point where, Halloween, I think like really starts kicking it off where big bucks are really moving heavy. So I think maybe early next week we should get another one going just because we'll all be out. I'll be out tomorrow and Friday and Saturday and every day next week. So.
Yep, definitely. So Justin, what's your first hot topic or stat for the rut?
Well, I can say if we're gonna go on Monday for the next couple of days here, water will be pretty important since it's gonna be hot. They're gonna be moving around since they got that little bit of spice in them, and we haven't gotten rain in a little bit. At least where we're hunting, it doesn't look like we're gonna get rain for this warm stretch here. It's gonna be sunny and 80 degrees. So if you got a water source, especially if it sets up near bedding, I would say that's a damn good spot.
Peyton?
I've been liking the scrapes lately. I think finding those scrapes with the hoof prints still in them. The toe, from the hooves and hunting just the freshest sign possible. Finding the rub lines with the bark still sitting on top of the leaves. The freshest tracks with the toe kicks still in them. stuff like that. You hunt the freshest sign you can and set up on it, and kind of find on the map where you think that's going to be. And if you can find on the map where you think that's going to be, whether it be topo, bedding, whatever, and then you go and find fresh sign there, kind of in my mind, how I think about it is like that's a double. That's like two positive. That's like two positives. Make that setup there, but just get on the ground and find the fresh sign. Biggest thing.
Andrew.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it a little bit different than them two, but I mean they hit it right on the head. Definitely water, definitely water from now till Monday is definitely something you're gonna want to try and find. Maybe a cattail marsh or some kind of swamp. And painting with the fresh sign. I mean that's good all year round, but now is it's so important because these bucks that they're really looking to start honing in on their dominance here. So you really want to find that. But I mean, a really good tactic that I think could be really good, like a spot I'm sitting tomorrow. I'm intentionally sitting there because you can see a good ways, and you know, find it's okay to sacrifice a day. It's okay to sacrifice a sit if it's for the right reason. Maybe go sit somewhere where you could really glass and see real far, where you're still in a good chance. Maybe on the edge of a bedding area that brushes up against a big giant field where you could see a long ways, maybe gain some knowledge for an attack the following day and still be in the game to kill one that same sit, kind of sit a spot where, these patterns are changing so rapidly this time of the year. So maybe try and find a spot where you're, you could gain a lot of knowledge and still really be in the game because, I mean that's important. Maybe find some fresh sign, scrapes, rubs, like Peyton's talking about. I go by scrapes way more than rubs, that's for sure. But maybe find a creek bed or something. I'm sure if you could find a creek or a bottom, you'll probably find some scrapes in there, and try and get into a spot or maybe even get a little higher up than you normally get, so you can see a long ways and gain the knowledge and still be in the game for a good buck.
Agreed. And I'm actually take this one out of Andrew's playbook because it's something that, I've realized, especially last year, I should have definitely made the decision. Don't be afraid to get aggressive. It's something that I'm trying to get better at. It's something that I want to add, to my advantage. Sometimes early season, it's all right to be, passive and everything like that. But something that my encounter with my buck last year, Kong, and then just talking to Andrew, constantly and everything like that is like, it's okay to make mistakes, especially with these bigger dominant deer. And that's something that the more that Andrew talks about, the more I actually see. And the more that I've realized, that's true. Like it's a dominant deer. So like if you get aggressive, you walk right up into his bed like Andrew loves to do, and it's gonna work. They're gonna come back. I heard the guys from the Hunting Public, they were talking about it the other day too as well on one of their podcasts or something like that they were featured on or something like that. Just don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like during the rut, you can get away with, I think, a lot more mistakes than you normally would. These deer are eventually going to start getting very dumb. And it's the analogy that I used in our podcast that we did last year. It's literally like a bunch of college kids going out to the bar, jacked up on vodka, Red Bull, and cocaine and everything like that. They're literally looking for sex or a fight. And right now it's more of the fight, but soon it's going to be definitely more they're looking for one thing and one thing only, and that's really it. So you can get away with a lot.
It kind of makes me want to change my answer. Like what I was thinking about actually was as you were saying that is I'm going to also get aggressive with the calling. Raking brush, getting the grunt call out, rattling antlers, scraping, the ground, so I think, something that I'm going to do, this weekend is get a little bit, start getting aggressive with the calling.
Yeah.
Vocalization.
A big fan, like something that I like doing this time of the year too is, getting in a thicket, or on a good trail or, just something like that where you got a little bit of cover and, you take a couple steps, not synchronized steps. Don't sync them up so they know that a human's coming in. Kind of take a few steps, stop, maybe hit a grunt, maybe make it sound like a scrape's being made. Take a couple more steps, maybe rub them, them antlers that you got up against a tree, and just make smart noise. Don't just make any noise. Make the smart noise. Make the noise that's not going to get you into trouble. And like Mike said, don't be afraid of doing it, man. I mean, when you look at it from a ballpark perspective, New Jersey's small. The state land that we have isn't gigantic, and they're going to opt to make a U-turn when they get close to a road than to cross that road a lot of times. So, you just got to hunt them down. Just find that sign, hunt them down, and don't be afraid to walk and bump them up. And, a lot of people get real upset when they see antlers running away from them, but, that's a huge piece of the puzzle right there. You know where he was. So now you just got to figure out where he's going or if he's coming back, so put the wind in your face and just walk.
Yeah, definitely agree. And what Andrew said about the steps real quick, I heard take odd number of steps. I heard a lot of times deer take odd number of steps. I can't remember where the hell I heard that from, but when I am doing something like that, I actually don't, I'll take 1, 2, 3, and then I'll stop. Or I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll stop. Something that's just like a little different. I don't know if that actually works, but like in my head, I'm like, you know what? That kind of makes sense because when I watch deer, yeah, they have 4 legs, but they're walking, and then when they usually stop, it's like 1 foot slowly goes down.
Yeah.
It's not like, humans, we're hard at foot, especially when there's leaves. It's 1, 2, you can hear us stomping around. A deer, it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, and the last step they're taking is not like it seems more soft to me. And that could just be in my imagination or whatever the case is, but that's something I've definitely picked on.
Yeah, and I know me and Justin, we've talked about this. I'm a big fan of Zach Farrenbaugh. I love the stuff that he does, and I love how he operates. And there is a time and a place for a stand, and there's a time and a place to get up and moving. And I really like how he does things. And I picked up a really great tip from him that I used last year in the arsenal, which seems so simple, but it honestly, I felt like it put me in the game on a lot of different deer. And it's when you go to take a step, like take a step with your toe and then put your heel down, where it sounds like it's like a double click, because that could mimic the front paw hitting as the back paw hits after. And it sounds silly, but deer don't walk in a synchronized form. They stop, they move, they they eat, they look around, they listen, they hear. So you gotta it sounds silly, but man, if you're looking for it, go on YouTube and look up deer walking in the woods. Like, just listen to it for a minute and like hear. If they're not going straight to a food source, they walk very strategic. Everything they do is very strategic, thought out, and planned. So you have to be the same way.
Definitely. So that will wrap up this episode. We'll see you guys pretty shortly with another update. We're going to be doing it for the next whole month of November. I think we'll do a weekly episodes. Just us and giving an update, whether we're deer hunting or whenever waterfowl starts back up, something like that. We'll be giving you guys a pretty quick, nothing crazy long update, and hopefully a bunch of success for us and for all the hunters out there. We wish you guys nothing but the best of luck. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Boys, you guys got any last words?